Are we going to war with China? I think we might be. And if you're paying attention to the news at all, in watching basically since December from CNN, you can see this on the screen. China, Russia, and Iran hold joint naval drills in the Gulf of Oman, and it goes on to why. This was never a great outlook. Since January, we're talking about how the world's going off to World War III. Everyone's going to be scared. And you can look and see Newsweek. Everyone's talking about imminent war, basically on the 3rd. If you go to Google and just search imminent war, you can see World War III everywhere. Since September, it looks like, we've had news stories. The mainstream media talking about how we are going to go to war. World War III is upon us. If you don't know, the world is ending, the end is nigh. I mean, that's what you're seeing. And so it's interesting to me, as we're getting to the main story, you can see how often historically these news sites have said, we're going to have war. World War III is coming. It's upon us now. Well, this is the main story. Today from Politico, State Report. Russia, Chinese, and Iranian disinformation narratives echo one another. Now, that's not super surprising because, as I just showed you, they're the axis of evil in today's 21st century. This says, the subheadline, the three governments are pushing a host of matching messages, including the novel coronavirus is an American bioweapon. So, needless to say, it doesn't matter what we found in the hacks yesterday from the Gates Foundation and from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, from the National Institute of Health, from the World Health Organization. All that information that we found isn't going to be relevant compared to this, is what they're going to tell you, because we need World War III. The report, which is not public, so Politico's reporting on a report that's not public, was produced by the department's Global Engagement Center, a fledgling office focused on the global information wars and reviewed by Politico. It makes the case that the propaganda and disinformation narratives from those countries, China, Russia, and Iran, and those governments have converged as coronavirus has spread. And it says that while the three governments have pushed out the same messages in the past, the global pandemic has seen the convergence of their messages accelerate. In other words, yeah, they're all lying together. Of course, they're all going to say the same thing. They're all lying together, pushing the same One World Health Organization message, which is United States bad, Orange Man bad, we're going to go to war, and the United States is at fault for it all. That's what they're saying. We'll read on. Some of the disinformation is produced by state-run media outlets, go figure, with the Chinese Communist Party and Russia being involved, not to mention Iran, bastion of freedom they are. And some have been put out by the governments themselves. A website run by Russia's defense ministry, for instance, highlights the conspiracy theory that hang on a second, I can't even read this. Highlights the conspiracy theory that Bill Gates, the billionaire, played a role in creating the virus. The conspiracy theory that is, we can see he did. We know that he was working with the institute that worked on this virus, and we can see the receipts. We have the funding transcripts. We know that he funded it. We know that we funded it in some cases. The taxpayers did. This is awful. Before the virus spread outside China, the report says, the overlap between the three governments' messaging was fairly narrow. They all defended Maduro in Venezuela. We don't, obviously, because he's illegitimate. But they had just a few different things that they all supported each other on. Now, however, it's this according to February 2020, according to the report, messaging began to converge. The report argues that this came and accelerated that those governments have struggled to keep public opinion in their own countries on their side. So even people in their own countries, we've seen it. The Chinese and people in Hong Kong, they all support Trump. The people in Iran, they're crying for freedom. They want Trump to bring it to them. People in Russia, obviously Russia's kind of more of an ally than anything right now, unless they're playing ball with China and Iran in the the naval exercises that we just saw. So I don't know what to make of all of that, but the reporting in the end of this report, China, Iran, and Russia are using the coronavirus crisis to launch a propaganda and disinformation onslaught against the United States. The State Department warns in a new report, but it's not public. Politico reporting this, though. The three governments, are pushing a host of matching messages. Why not just name them? China, Russia, Iran are pushing propaganda. This is mainstream. This is political reporting. This is propaganda saying that we created this virus. No, Bill Gates created the virus with the Chinese. He thought, I can study it. I can get a vaccine. I can patent the vaccine. I'll make billions and billions of dollars off of the vaccine. And China said, well, we're going to weaponize the virus part of it. He maybe didn't even see it coming. I don't know. Maybe he did, but it's not for me to say. This is the more important thing today, though. Donald Trump, this is why everyone's now saying we're going to be in World War III for sure this time, right? Donald Trump says, he tweets, I have instructed all the United States Navy to shoot down and destroy any and all Iranian gunboats if they harass our ships at sea. Any and all. Shoot them down. That's the commander-in-chief. That's how he's supposed to behave. He's supposed to tell the enemy, we will come after you. We will not allow you to harass. We will not allow you to point guns, to point bazookas, to point grenade launchers, RPGs, whatever. You're not going to point stuff like they were in this 30-second clip that he also retweeted today. You're not going to point weapons at the U.S. Navy, United States military, and expect to survive it. And so what's funnier is that the mainstream media is reporting this as Donald Trump is pushing for war, but obviously he's not. When Barack Obama makes concessions and makes cash payments and gives people a bend-over treatment, and by that I mean he bends over and they get treated, we see what happens. In response to watching that happen for 8 years, Donald Trump does the opposite. He says, if you mess with the Navy, you get fucked.